Buffalo's Steelers are Ravens That's what happens when you have parity. Parity always breeds mediocrity with a little bit of every now and then. Dallas sucks.
Well, we will get to our NFL Week 7 picks for Joe. If you already heard with Inside Sports Fantasy Football, it was, of course, Chris Sardieri and I talking about NFL Week 7 with our picks. But for now, it's the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here for the Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, as well, Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Chris Sardieri and I were on the Pop Culture Cosmos and Lakers Fast Break channels talking about, of course, NFL Week 6, now NFL Week 7, about the 2 trades that were made this week involving wide receivers and whether or not you should pick them up, go after them, how viable will they be on their new teams, and will the Browns and Raiders look to do the El Foldo Act already in NFL Week 7 and start to tank for next season? We go ahead and discuss that on the show. Plus, of course, the week upcoming with our picks and another woof trip to the doghouse on Inside Sports Fantasy Football. The Lakerholics crew, Lakerholics.com. John Costas, Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. He was on with me last night talking about everything that was going on after the game in Las Vegas between the Warriors and the Lakers. Big shout out again to Aussie. It was great meeting you and your entire family. I'm hoping you're having continued fun and being safe in Las Vegas. I told him, Joe, by the way, I told him he's heading back. His family are heading back to SoCal before their time is up here. And I said, if they have a chance, they want me to go ahead and, get a meeting going between you and Joe Soro. Just wanted to let you know. So, of course, I think they're going ahead into the Hollywood area, going back to Hollywood, going to go ahead and spend some time there. I don't know if they're doing a Universal thing or whatnot, but yeah, I told them if they have time and they want to meet Joe, there you go. All right, we'll set up for you indeed. But also as well, of course, all the great things that are going on with Empire Jeff TV. He just got finished with Joe. Spent a lot of time after the Dodgers' big win, 8-0 in New York, over the Mets to take a 2-1 lead. He talks about that along with Joe. So go ahead and check out that conversation. Of course, also as well.
He talks about that.
He talks about, well, you were talking too. I saw you. So
he talks about that.
He talks about that. Yeah, absolutely. He wasn't talking Lakers. He was talking Dodgers. What?
Joe, as dumb as you are, I'm dumber.
Okay.
Darren, that is the most backhanded compliment I've ever heard in my life.
And on that note, all right. Also, as well, of course, go ahead and check out all the stuff that we're doing today. Part of our membership program. Become a member today. $2.99 a month gets you inside.
Joe, I hope you suck and die, but I hope I commit suicide. That's essentially what he said.
Season predictions and more, emojis, badges, $2.99 a month. It's a great deal, and big shout out to all of our members that are there, and just truly cannot thank you enough for being a part of what we're doing right there for our members. Also, as well, of course, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Yo, John McCalian channel as well. Don't forget Stone Hansen, the Legend 350, all those great places to go and see and do. Please like and subscribe and support them any which way you can. But also, don't forget to like, subscribe, become a member, and do what you can to help us out here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast as well. We're going to be talking a little bit later on about the Dodgers and also about, as well, NFL Week 7. Joe will have some picks there for you. But today's first topic, coming off their time in Vegas, it was the Lakers getting shellacked by the Golden State Warriors, 111-97. There were couple things that were okay to watch. Obviously, Anthony Davis, 10 of 14 shooting. Obviously, he looks primed and ready to go. That was the good. Maybe you want to include, as Darren said, the king of garbage time so far this preseason has been Dalton Knecht, but after he's struggling in the first half, he played substantially better in the second half. But there were also so many lowlights, starting, as I mentioned before, rebounding as a whole. They lost a rebounding battle 55-50. They looked terrible in transition defense. Their defense as a whole was a disaster. They got beat several times. Lack of communication, not just the reserves, the starting lineup as well. Just lack of communication, trying to understand what's going on as far as with the new defensive schemes that JJ Redick has in mind. Hasn't quite clicked yet, and they looked really disoriented on the defensive side. The ball was moving around still, the motion offense still looking pretty good there, but they couldn't hit their shots. So that's something that's going to come and go. But Dalton Knecht, again, still out there, still trying hard, still having the green light. I think he took 15 shots total. And I'll tell you what.
16.
16. Okay, well, there you go. As opposed to Max Christie, gave you about 16 minutes last night. Played some good defensive guys, matched up size-wise comparatively to him. He is a situational defender. You get him on the right people, and he does look good.
That was very kind of you. Situational defender.
Well, if you put him on Steph Curry, he got roasted.
He's very situational. Put him on a high school kid, he'll dominate. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, shut up.
Yeah.
Put him on a fast, quick guard like Rob Dillingham, he gets smoked. Put him on a guard, shifty, crafty, guy who knows how to cut through screens, guy who's really intelligent, like Steph Curry, he gets smoked. But wings are somewhere, he looked pretty good matched up against a couple of the wings that they played against. Dalton Knecht, though, again, it's pretty solid in that second half after struggling in the first half. So the question remains, since the Lakers really have a depth issue. We've said this before repeatedly on our shows, and we're going to say it again ad nauseum because it's going to affect the season, because you will have your injuries, you will have your rest, you will have your time off that the stars will need, and they need players that could go ahead and make contributions after that. Plus, also in your regular 9-man rotation that JJ has in mind, your 6th man right now is Max Christie. Well, that's what Joe says.
9-man, no, 12-man rotation.
Wow, he said 9.
The one guy that played besides LeBron and AD, the one guy that besides Knecht, AD, and LeBron, that's it in the 4 preseason games. Besides those guys, the next guy that actually made an impact is Olivari, and he didn't get anything.
Yeah, that's how he was rewarded.
He was rewarded by getting a DNP. Why? Because we need to cater to the Max Christies who are situational guys. And, of course, Mr. You-know-who.
Bronny James, who did absolutely nothing. Well, he did score a basket and did get a block shot, plus clanked a few three-pointers, and, looked pretty much still out of his element there.
He's 6'4", right? Now he's 6'4" again?
Yeah, he's 6'4". Yeah, Rick Bucher said that earlier today, and I was like, man.
He's 6'4", like I'm 7 feet tall.
Yeah, he's still 6'1". But Rick Bucher did have if you listen to his podcast on Bronny, outside of that comment, it was actually pretty enlightening as far as what the pick before and the pick after got as far as contracts. The pick after actually was waived by the team that drafted him, so that tells you already what you need to know about.
Number 147. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Okay, keep going. So we ask you.
Let me actually write it down. Hold on.
Joe's in the smartass mood because he feels good because the Dodgers won today. So I'm happy for him.
No. This is Laker talk. I would have done exactly this based off what I saw this morning. I did record the game.
Okay.
I did watch it this morning.
We were pretty harsh on them last night, deservedly so.
147. What was it? What did Rick say? Everyone in the second or the first and second or the first and the next guy in front of
The one behind didn't even make a two-way contract. He was waived and let go,
awesome,
and I think he signed
awesome,
to another team. The
awesome,
one
awesome.
before, I think, got a much smaller contract, much less
Mm,
guarantees on it,
mm.
and yeah, just again, Bronny got a 3-year plus an option a year for a fourth.
I've had a really good time on Lakers ball today, and
Oh, I bet you did.
my beautiful patrons over there, I've noticed today, have not been answering my backhanded lingo and my smartassness.
But you are the special.
I believe a lot of it had to do with the fact that there was something that smacked them in the face yesterday that is finally starting to come into the realities of what's coming. And as a matter of fact, I even posted something, I'm paraphrasing, where I said, "What's coming is coming. Get ready." and I also went into a little bit of a diatribe on the fact that you've had Anthony Davis in his prime, arguably the most of his generation, the most complete big man in the league. And you've won a championship with him, and you almost won a second one, but unfortunately, the injury at the last part of the season took that away. But this guy has been begging you to get him a competent center. And when you gave him competent centers, you were winning championships or were about to win one, barring an injury, which an injury happened. And for 3 seasons now, you've managed to do absolutely nothing. And for his troubles in that time, you've decided to draft a point guard who isn't a point guard. You drafted a wing player who's not a wing player. And then you decided you fell into Knecht. Their words, he fell to them. And they were smart enough to make the right pick this time. Thank God. And then you guys pulled out the greatest shitbag out of your ass in the second round and used every excuse on the planet that you couldn't get anybody of any worth when you have no other way of getting any kind of talent. What is it? What I call it? I called them 2 dingleberries and a chode. The 2 dingleberries are Jalen Hood-Schifino and Maxwell Lewis, and you know who the chode is. That's your comp. That's 3 draft picks in the last 2 years. Now, what are you going to tell me? Well, they Lively went out early, and well, no one comes in the 55th pick that matters. Insulting anyone's intelligence. In the same year, the MVP of the league was a second-round pick. In the same time where the second-round pick has won 3 MVPs, 3 times more than Shaq, 3 times more than Kobe, 3 times more than KG, 3 times more than Hakeem. Do I need to go on? And go on and go on. Now, I'm setting this up. I'm setting this up right now. I've been setting it up since the draft night. I've been setting it up all summer, and I've been setting it up in the preseason. What's going to happen by December is going to either validate everything and set me on a path that no one can ever really argue against, or I am the worst analyst in the history of sports. That's what's going to happen. So we're going to see. The enjoyment right now on the show is there's going to be a lot of entertainment because either I'm going to look like a complete shoe thrown in the garbage, or I'm going to come out looking like maybe Joe actually watches the games and pays attention. Oh, and I know if a guy's a good basketball player or not. I know that, you know what, no matter who you hire as a coach, if you don't give him the right tools, how's he going to be a good coach? I mean, if you need proof, folks, how has Greg Popovich done the last 5 years? He's got butter knives over there, right? You just got the sharp Ginzu now, but that's going to take some time, right? It's still a team sport. So, and the renovation. It's just, again, it just piles on and piles on. They're delayed in fixing crypto. Isn't AEG like a multi-billion dollar company? Like, what's going on over there? Is there just I think the description I used on Lakers ball today is I feel like this place is run by out of work, unlicensed landscape contractors. You ever seen an out of work, unlicensed landscape contractor? They're waiting outside Home Depot. Just saying. They're waiting for something to happen. That's what the Lakers do. They're waiting for something to come to them. But the problem is with the system is you can't wait. There isn't going to be a Michael Jordan that comes out of nowhere. You can put him on the team. At least the guy that's at Home Depot, there's somebody that's going to come eventually and says, hey, I need your help. Lakers have no help, and they haven't helped themselves. So now what? Now we're supposed to just let's hope things go well, folks. Let's have a positive attitude, and let's go and get it. Maybe it'll work out. Yeah. I'll drink to that.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Sorrow from LakersBall.com, aka OxIT47, along with me, Joe Glassford. Thanks again for watching this. Truly appreciate it. So with that said, Joe, I think the answer for you and I is pretty obvious at this time. Right now, the sixth man coming off the bench is Max Christie. Whoop-de-freaking-do. For us, he has been a disappointment. I said that he may eventually develop into something. You guys have been on the books, both you, John Costa, and Stone Hansen, may be more right than you think as far as saying he's not an NBA player. But yet he's our sixth man. Dalton Knecht, again, you've seen what he's got. Hasn't always been pretty, but the guy's got the green light. The guy's got the guts to throw it up. He's also making plays for this team other than just shooting the basketball. So with that said, I think that he seriously needs to be the guy that we're giving the most minutes to off the bench right now. Your thoughts? Is it time for JJ to make a switch? Max Christie goes down the ladder and Dalton Knecht goes up.
I don't know. We'll see how this progresses throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to ask me, is Knecht more talented than Christie? I will say he will be by midseason. The problem is he'll run out of gas probably because he will get used if he shows any initiative and any positive shot-making ability. The Lakers will have to deal with a possible defensive deficiency, but if he's hitting 2 or 3 shots from downtown every game, he's going to be in the rotation, and it's very likely that he will outplay Max Christie and take over the 6-man spot. If the rotation makes more sense in putting him in above Austin in the sense of because your bench is pretty much non-existent, they may want to use Austin as that one positive guy for the bench because right now they have no one. It's possibly Knecht, but I think Knecht would be better with the starting lineup if he's hitting those shots. Now, the best lineup that we've seen in the preseason is actually Jackson Hayes, Anthony Davis. That means, are we going to have a lineup when it matters of LeBron, D'Lo, or Rui? I think Rui's can't really play small forward, so I'm going to go with D'Lo. We need D'Lo there. D'Lo, Knecht, Jackson Hayes, AD, and LeBron. I think that might be if Knecht can quickly get in, be a Podzayeski type player where he's an impact in his rookie year, not a difference maker that's crazy, because you can't expect that from a rookie, but someone that could definitely hold his own. Will that lineup likely be the closing lineup? That's a scary lineup in a lot of ways positively, and it's also scary late because Jackson Hayes is playing, and we all know Jackson Hayes struggles with high IQ plays at the basket, where they're going to probably run pick and rolls all over him, and we're going to have to hope that AD can kind of sort of shadow him a little bit, and of course Jackson Hayes' height and ability in terms of athleticism can make up a lot of that ground, but I just don't know. I have to see it when the pressure is a little bit higher. Now, where does Mr. Christie come into this, or JHS? Jesus, they're horrible. They're not bad. They're horrible. It's just what it is. They've shown nothing in the preseason. Hell, even D'Angelo Russell has looked like ass. He's shown me nothing. A couple of shots here and there, but we're kind of giving that as maybe he's just kind of kicking it a little bit for the real season. But I don't know. If you take your practice and your preseasons, just like all these Walmart mentality, brain dead people, everything's always an excuse. Everything needs to be cheap. Well, it's preseason. It's practice. Blah, 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 blah. How do you hone in on your craft in practice in the preseason? LeBron and AD have a way out of that because they've already perfected their games. I'm talking about the chumps that are trying to make some kind of an impact now in their careers. But they don't seem to take the initiative on that. None of them have improved, and maybe they're just not capable of improving.
Well, with that, again, the question goes out, who should be getting the majority of the minutes and the bulk of the minutes off the bench or in the 9-man rotation? Who are the players that need to be relied on the most? Obviously, Vando is someone that, depending on who you ask, is going to be counted upon. He's been talked about quite a bit as the coaching staff. As soon as he gets back, he's going to be relied upon. Christian Wood, not so much. So
148. When Vando gets back. So the most quoted line in the Lakers the last few years is, the first one is, "It's just," and then just insert whatever bullshit lame excuse. "It's just." There you go. And then the other one is, number 2 is, "When Vando gets back."
Because we hear that quite a bit, Joe, is when Vando gets back.
You know what Kobe said when he was playing with the Sacres and the early Randalls and the early Russells? When he walk into the practice and Jeremy Lin or whomever talked to him, and he told those guys, "I'm excited about the trade deadline because some of your asses are going to get shipped out." Where's that man? Where's that guy anymore? Does that guy exist anymore? I'm talking about the mentality. Where is that player that goes into a locker room practice and tells everyone who they really are? Everything is all ass massages and fake bullshit. And this isn't this should not be a generational thing. This should not be, "Oh, well, Joe, you're 40, blah, 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 and Gerald's this, and blah, 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 blah." These are fundamentals, folks.
Oh, well, don't we get called out for being old?
This is like saying, well, he takes care of his kids. Motherfucker, you're supposed to take care of your kids. Anybody who gets complimented for taking care of his family, anybody who compliments that is a moron. You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to hold professionals to a higher ground. When you don't do the job right, you're supposed to be told. There's two ways to be told. If you're under contract and you're going to be stuck there, you need to tell them directly. If they don't, if they're not under contract, then guess what? Bye-bye. You got to replace them with something else. Fundamentals, folks, never change. This is fundamentals. Now, if you want to talk about lingo, music, sure. Some ears don't listen to new music. They're stuck on their classic rock or 90s rap or whatever. I get that one, even though, rap these days sucks, of course. Or all I hear is country these days, and I'd rather listen to the end of a record just hissing than listening to country music. But these are fundamental things.
I like that one. That was a good one. I like that one.
Thank you. This is about talent. This is about executing. This is about, you want to win championships. You are the LA Lakers, and you are managing your team like the video game world. All the execs, LeBron, AD, Jeannie, Rob, you're all getting your bonuses. You're all getting what you want. And then everybody else is just like, eh. And eventually, you're going to make a game of this. And then in the end, what's going to happen to the game, Gerald? What happened to Concord?
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. You know what happened to Concord?
What happened to Concord?
It became a collector's item.
There you go.
Yep,
there you
right
go.
There.
There's going to be guys 10 years from now saying, well, it was ahead of its time in sucking. $300 million so that Gerald can collect the game. That's what it's worth.
I bought it as a possible investment. That's all.
Good for you. Good for you. Showgirls didn't set the world on fire in terms of a movie, but hey, it is the most profitable NC-17 movie in movie history. And I personally liked watching Elizabeth Berkley half naked or naked. That's because at the time I'm a virile man and single and
I thought she was stunningly gorgeous in that movie.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of people were focused on her face, makeup, and all that. I thought she was stunningly gorgeous in that movie.
Great. And Gina too as well. Rashawn, I think she still is. By the way.
Although the love scene was over the top wild. That was I was laughing out loud when I saw that. I'll just leave it at that. So
it was kind of like a bad Bob Myers movie. Bob Myers had the thing with art is art has a time. It's just, that's what it is, right? There have been artists that never saw their work become what it became. Dickinson, right?
Yeah.
What's her letters in a safe or in a trunk? So art is very weird like that. It will present itself as quality, or it'll hit with an audience depending on a time a lot of times. And I'd say that was probably a little bit maybe, I don't know, would it have been better now? Some art just never hits anyways, but again,
it would still be over the top crazy.
Sometimes
it still would have got roasted, but
sometimes it's so good it's bad it works.
I think it's gained more now. It's a lot of those films like Starship Troopers. They didn't work to a large audience at that time, but since then have found an audience. Due the advent at that time of Blockbuster Video, videotapes, DVDs, then obviously just the cult status now in streaming. I mean, I was Cool Bro was asking me for Netflix recommendations. I keep telling him Starship Troopers. It's going to go away at the end of this month. It's been out on Netflix forever. There's a reason why Netflix has kept around forever, because of the deal with Sony, is because a lot of people have gone back to it now and appreciated Starship Troopers for what it was. And the director of that did make Showgirls, again, a film that will never be thought of as a good movie, but it's become I guess, can you say this, Joe, a better light in the years since then? A little bit better light, I should say.
Sure. I definitely agree. This 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 movie that's coming for the Lakers, and it's become that. It's become fake. Movies are fake, folks. They're not real. Even the stuff that's based on a true story, there's liberties that have to be taken there because real life doesn't translate very well on screen typically. A good example is if you watch Tombstone versus Wyatt Earp, which pretty much came out at the same time. The Wyatt Earp movie was the Kevin Costner starred as Wyatt Earp versus the Tombstone with Kurt Russell. Tombstone takes the spot because it was Hollywood driven. A lot of things were true in it, but there was a lot of embellishment, a lot of glitz and glamour because that's what you're watching movies for, to feel good and to experience that wow, them riding the horses and you tell them I'm coming and hell is coming with me with Kurt Russell's emotion and the cameras sitting there. Whereas if you watch Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner, you find out that Wyatt Earp, you see more realness of who he really was, and it wouldn't appeal to an audience as well.
But it's just so paced so badly. It's
That
so
too.
slow.
And that's
It
what
is so
happens
slow. It
when you
takes
tell
away from the drama on it. The
Well, you-
acting, it takes away because it's just so slow.
because when you're telling a real story, it tends to do that. You have to tell the story of something real, and stories don't take 2 hours sometimes. Stories take a long time. And what we're seeing here with the Lakers is they're telling us a story slowly.
I'm
And
going to adjust my chair. Keep going, man.
sure. And they're lying to us in that their Band-Aid, which is JJ Redick, is going to stop the bleeding of a untalented team. Untalented team in the sense of trying to compete for a championship. We're holding out hope that there's going to be some miraculous transaction that can get us out of the rut. That's probably the only thing we can hope for. Which, if you take out a movie, you prepare a good movie, you still got to get the audience to say, "Yeah, we like this," right? That's kind of the same thing. You're hoping that the audience will like it, but in this case, go ahead, G.
I was going to say, Ruff's asking, when you guys talk about great actors, remember that the other day we were talking about some of the great actors of all time, just off the top of our heads. Why is Jim Carrey not one of them? I'm situationally, as we're using that word again, like for instance, The Truman Show, that was a fantastic performance. Absolutely fantastic performance. And the Eternal Spotless Sunshine, that one, he was fantastic with. It depends. It's, if he wants to go as off the wall, zany goofiness, he's one of the best comedians. He defined the 1990s, but when he was given the chance to act, yes, he did a great job. Also, Kick-Ass 2, Kick-Ass Part 2, he was really underrated good in that movie as well.
Jim Carrey might have had a better shot at doing serious work later, but his prime was comedy. And there's no one that was going to spend any money, real money, on anything other than what he was a master in. Jim Carrey is on the Mount Rushmore. And by the way, folks, when they say Mount Rushmore, it's only 4 people. When they say he's on the Mount Rushmore, and they'll give you 5 or 6. There's only 4 people on Mount Rushmore. Jim Carrey's on that. Jim Carrey is on there. Who the other 3 are? Definitely Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, and the 4th one is the hardest one because I'm caught between Robin Williams or Bob Hope.
It's a good list.
I'd probably go with Bob Hope. And Jim Carrey is so talented. When I hear stupid people talk about how he's not, it just further makes me realize how utterly stupid people are and ignorant and just not really understanding anything. Basic. This is basic stuff. You don't have to like anything that anyone does. I just said something about Neil deGrasse Tyson on Jeff's show. He's an astrophysicist. Phenomenal astrophysicist from my ability to watch I don't see a lot of astrophysicists talk, but very passionate, very informative. But he's a complete and utter asshat. But I can still respect him for his knowledge in his field. You don't have to dislike someone or I should say, you can dislike someone and still recognize that they are great at what they do. I think this mindset where you have to not like someone and also discredit their knowledge or discredit their ability, it's just a stupid way to think. And that's what creates division, stupid division, because it tails into other things. Going back to the Lakers and how this all correlates together. Right now, again, we are looking at a bad movie that's coming. This is one of those things where we heard that there were problems on set. We heard there was a change in directors. We heard the stars weren't happy, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, the movie comes out and it bombs. That's exactly what's happening to the Lakers right now to some degree. And if they are to all of a sudden come out the gate and completely 180 from what they've shown us in preseason, again, I'll be the first to stand up and say, I don't know what the hell they were doing, but it seemed like it was calculated. Wow,
And sometimes that happens, Joe, where a team just totally tanks it. Like we've seen the effort at times really been bad for the Lakers in preseason. Sometimes these teams they just go through the motions of preseason, then they just turn it on in the regular season. But I don't know if the Lakers are good enough to do just that, Joe.
Here's my issue with that. They've sucked in the preseason for a long time. They've lost the opener every year since 2013 or 14. They won in 13. This team does not have any. I'm going to come into the season and we're going to start the season with some gusto. Everything is always about we got to wait, and that's what society is in a nutshell. Everything's about waiting because they're not good enough, they're not prepared enough, and they're not the decision makers in that process. For some, in whatever the discussion is. In this case, there is some say that LeBron and AD have, but they're not equipped because it's a 5-team at a time game. Can't just put AD out there to play against 5 guys and LeBron. And I'm not saying all summer you need to denigrate these guys and put them down. But stop telling me something's a hat when it's just shoe. Stop telling me Max Christie's going to be able to play well. Please, you don't need to say he's going to suck ass. But please stop telling me this guy's going to play well. Please stop telling me that this guy's going to play well. Stop telling me that JHS is a project. You don't pick somebody at 17 right now with how desperate you are for him to be a project. Maxwell Lewis, okay. He's a project. He's a second-round pick, late first-round pick when you're already stacked. Yes, fine. But you have to find guys that can contribute when you don't have any other way to acquire talent, whether by talent as a GM or because of an agreement, which is the CBA. You have to make sure you hone in on the areas very, very well where you do have power and the decision-making, 100% decision-making on enhancing your team, which was the draft. The last 4 picks that the Lakers had these last 2 years, when they were desperate for talent, they picked a bomb, a bigger bomb. They had one fall in their lap from what we've seen, and then a 4th one that's disgraced sports in my book. You don't have the right, you don't have the gall to say it doesn't matter. It does matter because you suck in terms of roster construction. You had 4 chances to enhance the team. You didn't take one of those seriously, and you bombed 2 of them. Now what? No one can argue against this. You could put Rob Pelinka on the show. You could put Genie. You could put LeBron and all his stooges. There's nothing they can say that would destroy this discussion. Nothing, because the results tell it all. The results say it. It's not Joe Soro or Gerald Glassford or Stone Hansen. We just kind of warn you. Let's talk about Stone. Let's talk about Stone. I bet you Stone has watched more basketball than Rob Pelinka the last 3 years. I would put all my money in it. Anytime something goes wrong, where's Rob Pelinka? Where is he? Hiding, putting his schlong between his legs and hiding somewhere. You tell me that guy's not a coward? What has he done to enhance his team other than appease a narcissistic egomaniac? Placating that guy so that he can have his birthday party. It's a birthday party. And it's important that that it's not a discussion about LeBron's decision to go places or a decision to be socially active somewhere. I don't give a shit about all that. Now I'm talking basketball. LeBron's selfishness and ego even jumped the largest egos that I've ever seen. He made his team draft his son, who has no business in the NBA, while this team was depleted of talent. That was the focus. And the excuse machines all come out so that they can kiss ass, so they can get into the parties, so they can get into the media room. Because if Rick Bucher said anything derogatory, guess what? Mr. LeBron James has his list. And he'll keep you out of the list. You know who else had a list? It's a very popular name right now in the news. Starts with a P, ends with a D. He had a list. If you can't take criticism when you're wrong, especially when you're in that position, you are officially, and I'm quoting Horace Grant, straight up bitch. And that goes for anyone, but it's in his position, it's bigger because we're wasting our time for 2.5 to 3 hours and then doing another show after that, talking about your ass and how you're not really focused on winning championships. If you're not focused on winning championships, yet you're talking about you want to win championships, you are full of shit. You're a straight up bitch. And there's not enough people that really get to that guy and really say it where it's right. They just talk about stupid shit. Talk about stuff that's irrelevant. His home life, what he did 15 years ago, what he did with Miami. But seriously, what else can I say? What other reason would I have to say things like that? We didn't talk like this last year. We were very positive the year before then. At what point is it enough? It's like, close your ears, Gerald. It's like supporting a political candidate, and then all of a sudden, after 2 years, he completely botches his job. Well, I supported him in 2022, and he sucked ass in those 2 years. Now I'm going to say, get this guy out of here. He sucks. It's the same thing. Those are just more effective of your life, so that's more important. This is sports; it doesn't really affect your life. But the point is, yeah, I'd rather quit. I'd rather quit sports than ever become a Celtic fan. By the way, $7,000. Good luck on that. But I want you all to be prepared. Now, it's going to make the show probably more entertaining, but we're going to be miserable. But this team is going to be bad unless some miracle happens.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. Again, I put in the chat there, Rick Bucher. Again, you agree with him, disagree with him, but he did have the facts on the pick before Bronny and a pick after Bronny. And again, if you're looking at it from a straight financial standpoint, the Lakers are going to gain money tenfold. But we look at it from a player helping the team standpoint. And the fact is, Bronny is absolutely terrible. And it's just so disappointing. Again, Las Vegas sounding to me when I watched the game much like they did in Summer League. They rise up, they get it, they anticipate. They're like, oh, you can hear the oohs and the ahs. And then you hear the clank of the missed three-pointer again and again. And you hear this, oh. Now, I don't know if anybody was screaming like the comments that were made when I went to watch Bronny in Vegas, but I have a feeling those commenters are getting louder and louder each time he looks worse and worse. Yes, he made a layup. Great. Absolutely great. He blocked a shot again, but as Rick Bucher explained it earlier today, check out how he blocked those shots. He blocked them all from behind after he got beat off the dribble. So if that's the case, that's how he plays defense. He lets you go by him before he tries to go ahead and guard you. He's looked disoriented, as he did last night, trying to cover, as far as Steph Curry, even for a short period of time. He looked disoriented, lazy. He looks like he just doesn't care. He just looks like entitled was the word that Rick Bucher used. And I think that is very apropos, Joe, because he looks very entitled. You don't see the effort. Olivari, as we talked about on last night's show, who was rewarded with 0 minutes, as we said on last night's show, by the coaching staff after he gave and showed you so much heart. That's what this team needs, Joe, a lot of times, is energy and heart. And there's a player on your bench right now that can give it to you, and his name sure as hell ain't Bronny James.
And that is the build up to those who do put the work in and not get awarded, but because there's influence. And I understand if it's a family business. This is sports. This is not a family business. The buses, even the buses had a limit, right? Jim Buss was sucking ass. She fired him. This is not a family business. You can't afford to lose when you don't have to. You have to get the right people, the right jobs. If somebody messes up an order for tires at your tire company, who gives a shit? I guess the customer will be disgruntled and you get on with yourself. There's nothing at stake there other than a few bucks.
See, these guys are all holding on to Rick Bucher, whatever he said about Kobe years ago. But whatever he said about that, okay, granted, you could agree on that or not, or disagree on that. Whatever he said about Bronny in his episode, again, that I put in the chat, just listen to it because he goes off of facts. And once he deals with facts, the facts are there to show you how bad it is for the Lakers signing Bronny James.
What Bucher did years ago, I think in the end was a bad guess.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He said that Kobe will never wear a Laker uniform again. That's what sunk him with Kobe. I don't think it was a bad call on his part. I don't really necessarily.
Well, yeah, and he lost his job at ESPN, and we all know the deal there.
And he wasn't wrong, really. He shouldn't have just said it. He should have waited, but that's the whole point of being that insider, right? To know before.
Uh-huh.
Kobe told, and I believe Elgin Baylor. I've never met Elgin. I don't know how he is in his personal life, but sometimes you can gauge certain people and understand that there's a quality there and there's a ethics. There's no reason Elgin Baylor would come out and say Kobe said he's coming to LA or coming to the Clippers if he wasn't. The only reason why Kobe didn't go to the Clippers is because Jerry West scoured the earth got to Kobe and said, "You ain't playing for that owner." And then he retracted. And that is not coming from my insider. That's coming straight from Jerry West's mouth. It's not a joke. So he wasn't really wrong. Kobe flipped it. And Bucher is, I don't know what he's kind of like Peter Vesey in that he shows up once a year somewhere. And I'm like, he's still doing this? I don't know. I hadn't heard of
somebody still gives him a paycheck.
I haven't heard of I hadn't heard the word Rick Bucher, the words Rick Bucher, I think since like last year. I don't know I don't know what he does. So yeah, the positiveness, I got the negative out or the reality out.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this. If JJ can make Jackson Hayes and AD work during the regular season, you're going to see
like it did at the end of the first quarter.
I do believe, because it goes back to AD playing his natural position. So here's a correlation to this, so you all understand. They have a franchise quarterback in AD the last how many years? Yet they've, other than maybe 1 year and some change, they've given him a terrible offensive line. No matter who you are, doesn't matter if it's Patrick Mahomes, all you got to do is watch the Tampa Kansas City Super Bowl. Now, it wasn't their fault. People got injured in the AFC title game. But what happens to a franchise quarterback when he's pressured constantly? Tom Brady lost 2 Super Bowls to the Giants because he couldn't relax for 60 minutes. Yeah, Justin Tuck, Umanura, Strahan, just constantly at his feet, and his neck, and his legs. AD is the franchise quarterback that doesn't have an offensive line to protect him. And JJ Redick has already done 10 times the job that Darvin Ham has by actually putting Jackson Hayes next to him, because there's no other choice. But it's a choice that it's as simple as that you would think it is. It's actually a necessity at this point. But who's going to back up AD? Are you going to really play Jackson Hayes 30 minutes?
There's where your problem is, because again, we saw last night, your one side, it does work well, but as soon as AD went out of the game, Joe, your defense suffered, and it suffered mightily last night for a great portion of the game.
There's no balance other than AD. No one is doing both. One is good at something, the other is bad or not good. So how do you have any balance when you only have one player? Oh, and that player that has the balance, he has to kind of, on top of all that, cover for those who are really deficient.
Intel, you could always get a wrench if you want one, my friend. And you just have to ask, because you said the other day you didn't want it. But if you want to become a mod again, you just let me know, my friend. Always good to have you here. Intel Wild, $5. And for those guessing, it was a joke. I can't leave LFB and watch the commie Trevor Lane. Don't care about it.
Brian,
Intel, you're always much loved here by us at the LFB.
Always. AD is a great center in spurts. So where he was really good playing the 5 is when he had 3 perimeter players that were dogs. So Rondo, KCP, and Caruso with LeBron. That team was Rondo hitting those 3-point shots in 2020. I think about,
and to an lesser extent, AD as well.
I think about that so much, because I'm going, if this Rondo had shown up in 2010, the Lakers would have one less championship and Boston would have another.
Oh, yeah, because the only three-pointer what he hit.
Kobe left him open.
That last three-pointer just before the end of the game. Yeah.
I just think the fortune of that. It was a dagger that Miami just could not avoid. You're already getting worked by one of the greatest defensive performances I've ever seen in a closeout game. And then you have Rondo hitting threes left and right. They were toast. And it ended up being, everyone saw it. Miami couldn't make it out of the first half. They were done. And a lot of the reasons why AD had such a good year that year, this is because he didn't have to stress about his crew. You had KCP, and then you had Kuzma, who absolutely struggled on the offensive end because we were hoping that he would be that offensive. I wanted him to be kind of like a Rashard Lewis, but he at least picked up the slack on defense a little bit and helped the team in some way. So kudos to him. And then Caruso, and then, of course, LeBron was playing a little defense at that point too still. You had 4 guys that actually played defense, and then you had LeBron winning the assist title. You had LeBron you had Rondo hitting 3-point shots left and right. KCP and Caruso, timely 3-pointers. It was the perfect team for AD. I just wish they had kept it together.
So with that said, circling back to the main topic for today, again, the 9-man rotation, the vaunted 9-man rotation JJ has said is going to happen once the season starts. Right now, the guy...
Did he say vaunted?
I said 9.
Oh,
I'm just using
vaunted.
I was going to say because he stressed 9-man rotation. He stressed.
Well, when he said vaunted, I was hoping he didn't say that. It's a description.
Yeah, because he's like so squarely set on a 9-man rotation. 9-man rotation. 9-man. So all I hear is 9-man rotation. All the media 9-man rotation. Just everybody seems stuck on 9-man rotation, including him. Again, Max Christie is the one that is first off the bench so far in preseason. I mean, we have seen very mixed results with Max Christie so far, and I think we've seen a better effort and better results overall. I mean, he has struggled with his shot at times, but he did play much better in the second half, whereas Max Christie gave you nothing offensively yesterday in a fair share of minutes. So if that's the case, at this point, I really think that it is best that we just go ahead and give the kid a shot, Joe, sooner.
No, there's no choice. You have to play him.
Should you play him first? Should he be the first guy coming off the bench?
He will be the first. It's a matter of there's no other options.
But he's not right now. That's the thing I'm saying.
Let the first 2 months materialize. We wait 2 months. We wait 2 months, and you'll get a good idea on where this team is going.
We'll see what happens then. But yeah, again, to us, I think it's something that he provides something that the Lakers need. Just that lack of conscience. He just basically, they need someone out there who's ready to fire it up coming off the bench. And he is, whether he's hitting or not, he's going to keep on throwing it up. That's something that we need. You want attempts? I'd rather have him shooting the attempts than AD from outside the 3. That's clear to me, and I think it should be clear to anyone else there. Get AD those touches inside, Joe. 10 of 14 yesterday because he stayed closer to the basket. Dalton Knecht, 19 points because he gave you a lot around the perimeter, but also gave you some good hustle on the break and also, again, scored inside as well. So, again, I just think that this point in time, you have to look as far as whatever depth that you have, which is not much. Dalton Knecht is going to be the one providing it. Maybe even as early as the first game, he should be the one that you guys should lean on.
Yeah. If things play out well, what likely will have happened is Dalton Knecht ends up being an integral part of the offensive philosophy, we can move AR to the bench and help the bench have some talent come off in the second and fourth quarters to spell the starters, or however JJ Redick's rotations are. And if they're able to require a legitimate center, now you've just allowed yourself your more than likely your 9-man rotation. You need a competent center, and you need at least one guy that can start and be a bona fide starter. You need 2 starters, really. You need 2 starters on this team. But
you don't have the assets to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you take someone with a whole lot of baggage.
They're
Everybody that's talked about as far as coming to the Lakers has some sort of baggage. We will not avoid it. If we ultimately make a trade, Joe, it's going to be someone who has a question mark or 2 coming onto the Lakers.
I don't know any baggaged centers. Do you? I think we have one already, Christian Wood.
Yep.
Yeah. Kessler's gonna. I don't know. That's Danny Ainge is not gonna do anything there, unless somebody gets desperate and really needs him. But 2 first-round picks for him is still too much. Then you have Vucevic out in Washington that everybody keeps yapping about. What is it going to take? 1 first-round pick? I don't know. We have to send something out too. Who? They're going to want somebody, right?
Yeah, because we have to match dollar for dollar. That's it. We cannot trade for $1 more than what we're taking in.
It's important that everyone understands that this league has created such a cluster F in terms of talent acquisition that it's virtually impossible for a low brain like Rob Pelinka to make anything happen. If it's Presti, if it's Danny Ainge, if it's Stevens, those guys have this down. But we don't have a competent GM. We don't have a player personnel guy. This should be a player personnel guy. That's what Jerry West was. General manager.
Below what Intel said.
If you want Rob Pelinka, GM is actually a good position for him. Make sure the taxes are paid. Make sure that the sanitation people get paid. That's your job, operational stuff. This team needs talent evaluators, talent discussing talent. Rob isn't going to high schools, and is he? Is he going to high schools and scouting during the year or during the off season, or what does he do? How are you going to find this talent that you got to develop now if you're not actually going and looking yourself? But you're hoping for the Buzz Boys to do all that for you? Who decided to draft JHS? Who decided to draft Maxwell Lewis? I know Maxwell Lewis was Joey or whichever one. I know that was their pick. And is it a coincidence that our drafting started sucking when Ryan West left? Or is that just me? Or not left, got fired or let go?
Parting of the ways.
Yeah. Who was the real trigger there? What? The Bus Boys all of a sudden started not knowing how to draft? What is it? We don't know. I don't know. I'd have to really delve into that to figure out.
Let's see, Maxwell Lewis, he has a club option for 26-27. So he has a guaranteed 3-year deal, just like Bronny, and a 4th-year option by the team, just like Bronny. So he hasn't been a whole lot better. For the most part, he hasn't improved. I don't think he can give you much this season. That's another player that's not giving you what you need. And the Lakers spent extra money just to move up in the draft to get him in the first place. So, yeah, Just a lot of disappointing returns for Rob Pelinka. I think the writing's clear and on the wall. It should be by now. Intel Wild in the super chat says, imagine the Lakers telling Jerry West, hey, you got to pick up Bronny James Jr. He'd be like, excuse me? Yeah, that actually, but what if they tried that same shtick and Jerry West was the GM?
Well, you did hear about the Klay Thompson deal, right? For Kevin Love.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I believe the word.
Collective.
I believe the word out of there is, if you do this, I'm out of here.
Yeah, the Hoop Collective had a good episode on that, and also James Worthy for Mark Aguirre.
That one was the first one I heard.
Yeah,
he said no, absolutely not. Thank God. And Mark is a great player, by the way, folks. He was a great player then.
Good score, absolutely good score.
But the Lakers don't win the 1988 championship without Big Game James.
You got it right.
We do not. If we had Dominic Wilkins or Mark Aguirre, which those are two players that the Lakers could have gotten either in the draft in 82 or in an acquisition for James Worthy, the Lakers do not win back-to-back titles. James Worthy absolutely dealt in that series. So I think Jerry West is right again.
Brian, we did mention that Jerry West ESPN article heavily on, I think it was the Friday show or the Thursday show. We were talking about extensively the Jerry West article about how bitter the ending, and the fact that, at the end of his life, said he regrets the time he spent with the Lakers, which is very sad. Very sad.
I don't think he regrets it. I think he said it in a way where he's like, I kind of wish I hadn't been with the Lakers, but I think that was just frustration with the situation.
I hope so. I hope it was out of frustration and he totally didn't mean it. But again, the way he was treated on the way out was deplorable, to say the least.
If there was something that we don't know about, see, we don't know. Maybe we find out in 10, 20 years when Jeannie writes a memoir. I don't know. It's kind of like the Al Davis, Marcus Allen. We talked about this Marcus Allen, Al Davis rift. We never really knew what created it, what really fueled that fire. I don't know. I hope Jerry didn't do something that would be bad to create it and they're keeping it a secret, because I don't want to be dogging on Jeannie and everyone, and all of a sudden I find out that he did something really shady and I'm sitting here criticizing her and I'm like, damn, we were wrong this whole time. So there's a fact. I'm basing my understand, and I don't think that's the case, by the way. I'm just saying if, because I just don't see Jerry West being that. I don't see Jerry West doing something so hideous where it validates how they treated him. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that there's this petty BS, because it already happened. It's still festering with other things with these people. They're children. They act like children. LeBron is a big child. Rob Pelinka might be an adult, but he operates like a coward. And Jeannie, you know how I feel about Jeannie. She has no business owning an NBA team. Absolutely no business. Actually, I should rephrase that. She can own it, but she has no business dealing with the operations of my book. I don't care how long she's been there. This is a different ballgame. Michael Jordan, the greatest player that ever lived, couldn't manage a basketball team. It's a different beast. And Michael's been in the how long is Michael is? There's a great line in The Last Dance. It's arguable that Michael Jordan was the best at his job. It was better at his job than anyone that's ever been on a job. You know what I mean? I think that's a pretty good. I'd say Einstein might be number one from my studying and readings, but Jordan probably is in the top three from what I've seen.
Once again, it is the Lakers fast break.
Your favorite guy might break into the top three maybe one day. I don't know.
And who would that be?
The guy down in Texas now.
Okay.
You know what it is, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But not my favorite guy, indeed. But okay, it is what it is.
You know, I have a friend of mine who he's very animated, I should say, and he likes to use the words "f that guy," and he feels the same way like you do, except the way he says it is comical, especially after he has a few drinks.
F that guy. There you go. F that guy.
F
F
that
guy
guy.
now. F that guy. All right. But there we go, indeed. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Sorrell along with me, Joe Glassford. Thanks again for watching this. And tomorrow I will have Braxton Reynolds talking about the Western Conference. He does cover the Oklahoma City Thunder, so we'll talk about them. Plus, who he thinks might be a surprise in the Western Conference this year. We'll also talk Lakers as well. But before we head on out, my friend, I know that we promised some talk about the Dodgers absolutely throttling the Mets pitching staff today, 8-0, a great day. You covered quite a bit of it with Empire Jeff earlier today, but for our audience here, just again, a great victory for the Dodgers. Now up 2-1 in the series as they continue the series in New York.
It's quite amazing. The 4 of the last 5 games, the Dodgers have scored 27 runs to 0 in their 4 wins. And we're talking about masterful offenses. Just put that in perspective. For those of you who actually watch baseball, not a lot of you out there left, 27 runs. 4 of the last 5 games, 27 runs to 0 in their victories. And 2 of those wins were on the road. Petco can get loud and City can get loud. And you could hear breathing in both stadiums in those games. That's how quiet it was. Oh, actually, it got loud when Ohtani sent that 3-run bomb to the Bronx from Queens. And I'm thinking to myself, should this continue for 6 more wins, you might look back on the Dodgers season, not only in terms of winning the championship, but in the way they won it, it could correlate to like a 2001 Laker run. Not in the sense of wins, but the fact that you're shutting these guys out and you don't even have one legitimate number one. Yamamoto is on the trajectory to be a number one, but he wasn't a number one this year. And he still sort of isn't. Jack Flattery is not a number one. He'll always be a 2-3. Buehler was a 1, but 2 Tommy John surgeries and a hip issue has made him more of a 3. So you don't have any. You have at best a 2, a 3, and a 4. And then that's it. But what you do have is you do have a bullpen that I believe, and Jeff and I talked about this on his show earlier today, we believe that unless baseball changes the structure of how pitchers are going to come out, instead of every 5th day, maybe they go to every 6 or 7, that bullpens, and if they're going to have to expand the rosters too, bullpens will be the starting pitching that wins championships. The Dodgers are 6 wins away from winning a title with the bullpen being the ace. Not a closer. Not a starter who's closing out the last 3-4 innings. No, I'm talking straight up when they won their bullpen game in hostile Petco Park. They used 8 pitchers in a 9-inning game, and they allowed 0 runs to the best offense, in my opinion, this year in the San Diego Padres. The most lethal. And the Mets are the most annoying offense of 2024 because no matter what was going on, they just seemed to always hit when it mattered. They'd be down 6-0, they'd come back. They'd be down 4-0, they're back. 6-3, they come back. It's 7-2, they come back. It's 3-4, come back. Whatever. But the bullpen, and it's been masterfully managed by Dave Roberts. Absolutely his best managing I've ever seen. He has taken two of the most potent offenses in my eyes this year and said, you're gonna have to take the bullpen out. And you could physically see that these guys, once the bullpen starts to come in and starts mowing everybody down, you could tell the body language it just can't take it. And a 2-0 lead late 6-7 innings seems to be a 5-run league in the playoff. I'm sorry, 5-run lead in the playoffs with baseball lately. These guys are hurting. These guys are hurting to come back. But the Dodgers have two starters, well rested, that will be available tomorrow and on Friday. I wish the Friday game wasn't an early game, but for guys like Freddie Freeman and just in general, I don't like a quick turnaround, especially if they win tomorrow. But it would be I would highly recommend if the Dodgers really, really could hone in on understanding that if they can win these next two games in New York, they avoid having to do another bullpen game in Game 6 at home. Because I feel like if the Mets win any of these games tomorrow or Friday, it's probably going to go 7 because I can't bank on a bullpen all the way again to do what they did in San Diego. The bullpen needs to be a bullpen, not the starting pitcher for the entire game. They could still win it. I'm not saying that if it's still possible, but it's going to be much more stress to worry about that. You won't have somebody there for 4 or 5 innings to say, look, I'm not going to allow any runs, and then we'll let the 4 top guys just finish it off while we score 3 or 4 runs.
Well, I'm happy they don't, they're not giving them the day game right after the night game, and they're still giving it a night game on the East Coast, Joe. So I'm at least happy that they're not making the same mistake twice with the schedule on this like they did the other day.
Correct. The night game is only a night game. I'm sorry. The early game is only really a night game. I'm sorry. Jesus. It's only an early game because we're on the West Coast. So for them,
but not a day game like it was
correct.
In Game 2.
They are going to be playing at 5:08 in New York versus they started today at 8:08 and tomorrow they'll start at 8:08. Tomorrow or Friday it'll be 5:08, not 2:08. You don't have to deal with the shadows too at Dodger Stadium for the hitters. I think it'll be fine. And I'm hoping. This is one of the few teams that actually does need the rest. It would be nice to get a little rest, but then I think the World Series starts on Tuesday. So whether they get 3 days off or 2 days off, I don't know if necessarily matters or whatever.
So with that, it is the Lakers fast break. But before we go, I did promise you guys out there, especially Xbox and those who've been asking for, because somebody took me aside and said, hey, I'd love to see more football picks from you guys for NFL, in this case, Week 7. So without further ado, we shared our thoughts, Chris Ardieri and I, on Inside Sports Fantasy Football, which you can check out on this channel, or you can check it out for audio listeners on Inside Sports Fantasy Football. But for Joe Soro, what does he have in mind for NFL Week 7?
So what do you want me to predict?
What games do you feel like? Because Xbox is he's just on every word that you're saying, and again he's won some good money off you, but it is for entertainment purposes only.
Looking at the schedule, there's a lot of upsets that are kind of brewing. I think there's a chance that the Jets could upset the Steelers in Acrisure. Sorry, it used to be Heinz. I could see I don't know if that's necessarily an upset, but I could see the Lions blowing out the Vikings in Minnesota. Uh, I could see the Titans beating the Bills just because the Bills seem to lose those kind of games sometimes. If I had to pick a game where I'm like, I feel pretty comfortable with a team, an underdog beating a favorite, I would say probably the Lions over the Vikings.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's necessarily an upset.
Why not?
Because the Lions are pretty good.
Yes, they are. But with
And
Aiden Hutchinson out,
I'm curious to see if they're going to do something to go maybe get Crosby. Devontae's gone. Maybe if the Raiders lose this game, they'll be 2-5, which pretty much puts them out of the playoffs likely. Do they then try to benefit and try to get a first-round pick out of Detroit for Crosby? Detroit's ready for a Super Bowl, and losing Hutch puts a huge damper in that. So do the Lions sacrifice a first-round pick for Max Crosby to replace Hutchinson?
good question.
So the Lions beating the Vikings, yes, it's not really an upset, but in terms of the line, Minnesota's favorite by, I believe, 2.5 or 3 being the home team. And I could see the Lions blowing them out. I could see them winning for sure, and it might even be a blowout.
Well, we'll see what happens. But again, it is,
Really
of
can't
course.
stay healthy, man. Jay, I'm with you. I know it's tough too because he's a really good player. He's kind of nuts though. He's really nuts. You ever listen to that guy talk?
Yes. Intel Wild and Super Chat says the Bus family needs to sell the team, needs whatever humongous billionaire, whether it's Musk, Bezos, you name it. Can't be Ballmer, of course, but sorry, we are the Lakers, according to Intel Wild. So truly appreciate the Super Chat on that.
I would say that the Guggenheims should be the first people to come by the Lakers if that's the case.
It's a good start.
Guggenheims would turn this thing around, put the right people in place, and it would fit. I do believe that to buy the stadium, to buy the arena, I should say, to buy Genie out, I think they'd have to drop 15 to 20 billion to get the team. It would have to be something initiated by the Guggenheims. Hey, look, what if we gave you 17.5 billion for the arena? Take care of AEG, take care of Genie and them, and just 17.5 bills. We buy the Lakers, we buy that whole area. Hell, 20 billion. And then the Lakers would be in really good, based off what they've done with the Dodgers, they'd be in really good shape. And the value of the team would go up because they would actually own everything. So the reason why the Lakers aren't the number one valued team is because they don't own the arena.
That day might be coming, my friend. I still think that at some point in time, Genie's going to start whining about that at some point in time. But
what?
We'll see.
Whining about not owning the arena?
Mm-hmm. About wanting her own. We'll see
it
how.
How would she buy it? With what?
I wouldn't say buying the crypt, but asking for her own, not similar to what Ballmer did, because Ballmer did it with his own money, but maybe asking the city because it's the Lakers that she may be able to get over on as far as a substantial portion of help.
Where?
Making.
They can't be anywhere in LA. They just built LA Live for this thing. There's no way they're going to move them.
Okay.
I believe me, I would love to have them because I think she'd have more money, and I don't know if that even would matter, but I don't know. I don't know the operation there really. I'm going by as much information as I can get public. That's public.
We'll see how jealous she gets about Steve Ballmer's new Intuit Dome. So
I don't think you have any room to be jealous of somebody who's worth billions.
Okay.
I mean, how much is enough after 20-30 million dollars? What else are you going to buy? What else? 15 houses instead of 5?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand this money thing. It just it's just confusing to me. I really don't. I don't get it.
Jeremy says Clay is playing like trash. I think he's only played in one game so far. Yeah, he's only played in one game. He was 0 for 9. Yes.
Yeah, it was Clay.
So if you count the 0 for 10 in Sacramento, he's 0 for his last 19.
Clay is gonna probably retire at the end of this contract. I'm gonna take a wild guess. That's what he's gonna do. Clay is done. Cannot come back from a torn Achilles and an ACL in the same leg. Just can't. And Dallas, I'm picking to compete because they still got Luka, you still got Kyrie. Lively's going to get better. You got Gafford. That's going to, the chemistry's going to get better. Washington, everybody's going to should get better. So you have a good 5 core there, and then if you can have Clay be a guy that can come off the bench, because I think that's where he has to be. I don't think he should be a starter. If he can be that guy that plays 15 to 20 minutes and just hit some key shots, I think he'd benefit Dallas greatly. But I hope he's not thinking of playing 25 to 30 minutes. I think that's a bad idea.
Well, with that, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Once again, tomorrow we're going to go on a little bit earlier. Braxton Reynolds will be back talking the Western Conference and the OKC Thunder. Joe, any last thoughts before we head on out? You've had a busy day with the Dodgers and a busy day on Empire Jeff TV and, of course, the Lakers Fast Break.
Yeah, it's. I guess the last thing I'd say is for those of you who want to enjoy sports at its highest peak, watch baseball, watch the baseball playoffs. It's exciting. It's fun. Been one of the best, most exciting ones, I think, in a while. And I'm hoping that the Yankee-Dodger World Series is official by Sunday. And you're probably going to not see this unless the Yankees and the Dodgers continue to make a run, which in baseball, it's always a kind of a crapshoot sometimes. But you are going to witness for the first time in a very long time where you have the 2 best players in each league with the 2 most storied franchises in Major League Baseball playing for a championship. It's very rare. So I highly recommend you watch it because it'll be a memorable one.
Don't forget also as well, Thursday night, Los Angeles Lakers are at the Phoenix Suns. So game time is 7 p.m. TNT. We'll be right back at you. We'll have the playback.tv / Lakers Fast Break turned on. I don't think I will be there at the first quarter, but I will be there sometime during the game. I will ask see if Laker Nick or Henry could, basically get you guys started off, or maybe John Costa, because I know Joe will be thick in the middle of the baseball game, but we'll have the playback.tv / Lakers Fast Break turned on so you guys can go ahead and have those VIPs that are there so you guys can watch the game. And I'll join in probably before the first half is over, but yeah, we'll get it going for you nonetheless. We always try to take care of you here, but those 7 o'clock start times, I'm usually on the road right around that time, so it's really, really hard. But Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner, always great to have you here, my friend. John Costa will be back for the post game tomorrow, so hopefully Joe will be as well. But yeah, absolutely indeed. Of course, also as well, go ahead, give a big shout out to Aussie who is a great part of what we did yesterday. Cannot thank him enough for meeting him and his family. Enjoy the rest of your time in Vegas. And if you want to go ahead and meet up with Joe, let me know. Just send me that DM. Go ahead and make it happen for you, indeed. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. We'll be back tomorrow. Playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. And before that, the pregame, Braxton Reynolds be on. We'll go ahead and talk about all the good things that are going on in the Western Conference right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
Joe and Jerry sounds like a cartoon. Jerry and Joe. Joe and Jerry.
Like a cat and mouse? Tom and Jerry?
So I would have to be the cat. You'd be the mouse.
That's always outsmarting you.
No,